Thank you, everyone. Thank you. Thank you so much. Good afternoon, everyone. I have to say that video brought back some really wonderful memories. And I want to say it's great to be in this room with so many of the wonderful people that I had the opportunity to meet over the past few months. And I want to thank each of you for taking time out of your busy schedules to be here in Roanoke. You know, I hope that we will spend this next day discussing and reflecting together on our important work ahead. And it's also my hope that you will take, and I think you're doing that, you'll take some time to really enjoy one another, to meet some new people, and really strengthen those bonds that connect us as colleagues. And I want each of you, if you would, to take some time to reflect on the role that you will play in enabling our shared success ahead. So, as Scott said, and many others said, the theme for this year's retreat is "This is our time." And I truly believe that it is our time to really be the standard bearer of what post-secondary education can do for Virginians during these challenging and exciting times. So in the next few minutes, I really want to do three things. I want to build on Scott's discussion of the great upheaval and how that landscape really impacts the Virginia community colleges. And then I want to share some of my insights on the listening tour and really share a vision of where we need to go as a system. And then I want to talk a little bit about how we're going to get there. So as Scott highlighted, the shifts that we are experiencing really are driven by three forces: demographic, technological, and economic. Demographically, we are experiencing shifts that are really impacting us. In Virginia, the number of high school graduates will peak in a couple of years before we start to see declines. A significant contributor to this is the low birth rate, as well as declining enrollment in our public K-12 schools, particularly in our rural communities. Now, let's look at how this impacts our enrollment. Headcount of program-placed credit students on our campuses has been declining since peaking more than a decade ago and is forecasted to continue to drop. Dual enrollment continues to be on the rise, and we will need to continue to blur the lines between K-12 and post-secondary education and have more high school students pursuing meaningful post-secondary credentials and transfer credits before they graduate from high school. Now, successful programs like Fast Forward will continue to grow as we continue to emphasize prioritizing skills, aligning our programs to industry, and filling jobs quickly. So these trends show that we will need to better serve a new majority of learners. Who are they? Working learners, learning workers, and displaced workers needing to skill, upskill, or reskill. Parents, veterans, high school students, older students, and others. As Scott talked about, technology has really disrupted every industry across the globe. And these disruptions are occurring at really faster rates. And as you so eloquently articulated, we are now amid this technological disruption in higher education. Pat Gelsinger, the CEO of Intel, has called these enabling technologies the four superpowers. They are cloud computing, unlimited capacity, mobile technology, unlimited reach, the Internet of Things, crossing the physical and the digital, and then AI, the ability to bring intelligence to everything. If we are not applying these technologies to all our processes, we will fall behind. Now, economically, as Scott said, the nature of work is fundamentally changing. And the skills needed to succeed in the global knowledge-based economy are very, very different than the skills needed in the digital era. And so our landscape of today is shifting in dramatic ways. And one of the biggest challenges that we all just heard about facing us is this new emergence of new providers who who are offering new models that really are going to challenge every educational institution, including every one of our community colleges. So these changes are really contributing to a hugely competitive environment that is helping really shift us to a skills-based system. So I want to invite everyone in this room to embrace this new landscape, these challenges and these disruptions as exciting, uncharted territory for us to innovate how we operate and to forge new opportunities and new ways to better serve more learners. So, when I interviewed, as Peggy said, with the state board back in December, I laid out the 90-day plan, as you said, and I'm pleased to say that I have accomplished what I set out to do in that plan. And as you know, an important part of that was the listening tour. And that was a true privilege for me. And I really want to thank everyone, Peggy and Craig and the entire team, and all of the colleges that were involved in the planning at such a busy time of the year. I also want to express my gratitude to every one of our colleges for the incredible hospitality that I received at every college and in every community throughout Virginia. I'm really grateful for that. I could not think of a better way to begin my service as Chancellor than to see firsthand the powerful and innovative work taking place on each of our campuses, and then how we will leverage that kind of innovation and best practice across our entire system. And it was critical for me as early as possible to meet and hear from our employees, our local college boards and foundation boards, our community members and community leaders, business and industry representatives, K-12 and university, elected officials, and most importantly, the best part was meeting with students. I began the listening tour on my second day on the job. And as Peggy said, I traveled 3,600 miles, 36 days, and it hit me that I had been to every corner of Virginia, and I had been to every region of Virginia. Now just think about that for a moment. We are the only provider of post-secondary education in the Commonwealth that has true statewide scope. 23 colleges, 40 campuses, impacting every region of Virginia. I was also struck by how central and integral our colleges are and how much every community throughout the Commonwealth depends on us. We have an awesome responsibility before us. I truly believe that the future well-being of the people of the Commonwealth of Virginia will in large part depend on those of you in this room who will lead our colleges into the future. So, I learned that our colleges are doing so many things incredibly well and have achieved commendable success. And the outcomes of our students over the past few years, I think, speak for themselves. So we've got increased graduation rates, increased transfer rates, decreased student borrowing from $194 million in 2012 to $55 million annually in 2022. That's pretty impressive. Reduced time to degree for our students and a greater percentage of underrepresented students completing on time. Now, these accomplishments are examples of what we can achieve when we work together, aligned to the needs of our students, our communities, and industry with a common goal of pushing Virginia forward. Over 80% of those who complete education in training in Virginia's community colleges stay and work in Virginia. Now think about that, right? We are the best in the state in terms of people staying here. This really is impacting the growth of business, economic growth, and the growth of Virginia's tax base. And I witnessed the effectiveness of partnerships with business and industry at every single college. And I just want to give some examples with you, just highlighting a few. I visited the pharmaceutical manufacturing program at Bright Point and the industrial maintenance program at Wytheville. Now, both programs are partnering with the Virginia Talent Accelerator Program to support the workforce needs of companies relocating and expanding in Virginia. Now, this best-in-class model, which is part of VEDP, and we have Jason El-Kubi right here with us, is why Virginia was recently ranked #1 in the nation for customized workforce training. At Nova, I met with executive leaders of the Data Center Coalition to learn about the strong partnerships between Nova and the data centers in Northern Virginia. Northern Virginia is home to the largest cluster of data centers in the United States. 70% of the world's internet traffic funnels through the facility's regions, and Nova is playing a critical role in supplying the talent for that sector. Nova was even highlighted in a recent book published by Harvard for their strong partnerships with industry. In Hampton Roads, I met with the CEO and leadership of Newport News Shipbuilding to discuss how Tidewater, Virginia Peninsula, Paul DeCamp, and Rappahannock will be collaborating to scale programs to meet the needs of the growing workforce needs in the skilled trade sector of this region. I met with several healthcare partners. At Virginia Western, I met with the CEO of Carilion to learn about their strong partnerships. And at Reynolds, I met with leaders of VCU Health to learn about an out-of-the-box solution to address the nursing faculty shortage, a faculty sharing model. And at Virginia Highlands, I learned that they are the largest provider of healthcare workers for their region. At Laurel Ridge and Danville, I learned of the work done through the NSA-accredited IT and Cyber Center programs to bring more students through the IT pipeline. And throughout my tour, I heard from leaders of infrastructure-related firms about how we are leveraging resources, expanding collaboration, and streamlining efforts to meet the needs of the in-demand infrastructure industries through our Virginia Infrastructure Academy. So these partnerships, and there's plenty more, are just a handful of the partnerships that I have learned about between our colleges and industry. Now, moving forward, we will prioritize expanding and deepening partnerships and collaboration across all industry sectors and regions of Virginia. Now, before I moved to Virginia, I had heard it said that there's Northern Virginia and the rest of Virginia. Well, the tour helped me to understand that that statement does not do justice to a commonwealth that is as rich in history as Virginia. And one of the things that I appreciated during the tour was really learning about the rich cultural diversity of our state and the importance of recognizing, respecting, and honoring our regional cultural histories and traditions. The t-shirt up there, the folks actually at Mountain Empire, they actually were pretty impressed and even grateful that I knew how to pronounce Appalachia. And I think it is a critical strength of our system that our local colleges are not only responsive to the needs of local employers, but are also responsive to local culture, ensuring that our colleges are relevant in the hearts and minds of the local community. And it was not surprising to find that in many rural communities, the community college is the central and vital institution that helps unite citizens and builds a sense of community. At Eastern Shore, I had the opportunity to meet adult English language learners who were gaining both English proficiency and workforce skills needed to gain employment. And I witnessed so many examples of the tangible results when the local community represents the spirit of the region. I saw repeated instances of the tremendous financial support provided by our local college foundations and the local community. At New River, I learned about the transformative power of the ACE program. The Access to Community College Education program is a public-private partnership enabling students to graduate without college debt. And at Southwest, I visited Dellinger Hall, a stunning multi-purpose structure built by support from the foundation, which is also home to some of the most striking examples of artistic expression from sculptor Johnny Hagerman, who's a native of that region. And at Patrick and Henry, I visited their amazing new Manufacturing Engineering Technology Center, also built with the support from the foundation, which is a true state-of-the-art facility to support STEM programming. Now, one of the most important components of the listening tour was meeting with and hearing from people. And I loved meeting with our faculty and staff and getting to see firsthand their innovative approaches to teaching and learning across all disciplines, and the ways that they are working to remove barriers for our students by creating a caring culture which is focused on the whole student. At Piedmont, I learned that the number of students helped by the Student Resource Center had more than doubled since last semester. And at Blue Ridge, I got to hear firsthand the impact of the implementation of the one-door policy on the student experience. And I even got to move massive trees with the students in the forestry program at Mountain Gateway. Thank you, John, that was fun. And I was literally in tears after a simulation experience with students at Virginia Peninsula that took me from working with EMTs in the field to assist a pregnant woman to assisting in the delivery of a healthy baby girl. That was fun too, Porter, thank you. You know, and while learning of the many innovations occurring through our colleges, my highest priority at every college was to visit and meet with and hear from our students, because it is our students who are the center of everything we do. And I want to take a moment to highlight just a handful of the hundreds of students that I had the opportunity to meet on the tour. Now, this is Mia Lewis, who I met at Paul DeCamp. Mia is working on her certified nursing credential. She is a single mom who's trying to balance taking care of her 9-year-old son, working as a cashier at Walmart, and going to school. She learned about the CNA program from the camp dean of students, Dr. Trina Jones, who was actually in her checkout line at Walmart. And Mia shared with me that she gets up at 4 a.m. every day and is lucky to get to bed by 10 p.m. And she really inspired me when I talked with her by her desire to make a better life for her son. And this is Haley Piercy, who I met on my very first day on the tour at Central Virginia. She was so incredibly professional, articulate, and motivated that I was shocked when I found out she was only in 11th grade. She is going into her senior year at E.C. Glass High School in Lynchburg. She's a concurrently enrolled student studying at Central Virginia, studying physics, engineering, and chemistry. And when she graduates, she'll have 45 units, which will dramatically shorten her time to a bachelor's degree and save her thousands of dollars. And this young man I met at Germanna. This is William Liu, where he enrolled in online classes while he was delivering food for DoorDash and working as a pharmacy tech. Not only did William complete his associate degree requirements in a single year, but his grades got him a top spot with Phi Theta Kappa Honor Society, and he is headed to UVA Engineering this fall. He is one of only 60 students in the nation to be awarded the prestigious Jack Kent Cook Transfer Scholarship that will give him a full ride to UVA. That's pretty impressive. And finally, this is Alexandria Davis, who I met at Brightpoint. Alexandria came out of the foster care system. Her path to Brightpoint was made possible through the Great Expectations program. And Great Expectations provided mentoring, financial support, and a sense of community. She told me that Great Expectations has been a lifesaver for her. Alexandria is studying business, and she's an entrepreneur who started her own boutique baking business. She actually gets up at 2 a.m. on Saturdays and Sundays to bake fresh confections that she sells at the farmers markets in Richmond every weekend. You know, one of my most important roles as Chancellor will always be to elevate the voice of our learners. We serve thousands and thousands of students across our system, and every single one of them has a story. And I have learned that their stories are complex and inspirational and at times heart-wrenching. And it always provides me with a valuable perspective when I talk with our students. As we strive to better serve a new majority of learners, it will be even more important that we adapt our systems, our learning formats, our schedules, in fact, our entire colleges around their complex lives. Based on everything I have seen and heard, I believe there are three prominent gaps our system must address to achieve meaningful and positive change for Virginia. The first is the significant educational achievement gap. Of the 8.7 million Virginians, nearly 2 million working-age adults, 25 and older, have only earned a high school diploma. An additional 1.2 million working-age adults have taken some college but have not earned a college degree. This means that there are more than 3 million working-age adults who lack a meaningful post-secondary credential. Now, the educational achievement gap coincides with significant economic disparity. The household income discrepancy throughout the Commonwealth is staggering. A gap of more than $120,000 between the highest median income in Loudoun County and the lowest in Dickinson County. We also know from the work of the United Way that 38% of households in Virginia do not make enough money to pay for the basic costs of living. The ALICE population, which stands for Asset Limited, Income Constrained Employed, makes up a substantial portion of those households. These people are above the federal poverty level, but still do not make enough to pay for the basic costs of living. The ALICE population represents approximately 89% of VCCS students. As an educational system, we have a responsibility to identify solutions that create economic mobility for every Virginian through affordable education. The second gap is that of technology. As Scott, again, so articulately spoke to us, the tools that we are using day to day in our classrooms and in our jobs are changing more quickly than ever, continuously disrupting higher education. And if you look at most categories of human interaction, nearly every single one has been transformed through technology. As a system, we must embrace these technologies in full and incorporate them into our learning model if we are to remain relevant and effective. You know, at the turn of the 21st century, Ian Morrison wrote a book called The Second Curve, addressing society's shift from the industrial mindset to a digital one. Higher education has been slower than others to adapt to the digital shift. But today, the evolution of these technologies is accelerating so rapidly that we are at a critical juncture where we must adapt. Remaining along the industrial curve restricts us all to fixed learning formats, set places, times, and rigid schedules set by the institution. Transitioning to the digital curve, learning formats become variable. Education can occur anytime, anywhere, where the formats are set by the learner. In this increasingly digital space along the second curve, the competitive landscape has exploded with a plethora of options to better meet the needs of learners where they are. So more choices and new competitors are now driving change to a skills-based system. The unbundling of degrees, as Scott said, short-term and stackable credentials, credit for prior learning, focus on competencies, workplace learning that blur the lines between the workplace and the college, immersive learning, bolstered by virtual reality and augmented reality, and the integration of AI into learning platforms. We must embrace these technologies that can improve the student experience and enable the flexibility of learning options that allow students access to education at their preference and discretion. And most importantly, we must ensure that our learners complete their programs of study with the digital skills needed to thrive in their respective careers. And finally, we must address the skills gap. For the Virginia Community Colleges, addressing the skills gap means ongoing realignment of our programs and colleges to the needs of business and industry and our local communities. We must be aligned to the key sectors of our state. The shortage of working-age adults who possess the skills needed for jobs in our most in-demand fields, healthcare, technology, and manufacturing, is limiting economic growth. So, how will we fill these gaps? Earlier this summer, I had the opportunity to host a retreat with our college presidents and vice chancellors in Richmond, discussing how we will work collaboratively to transform our colleges for the future. And after these discussions, we were empowered by a common conviction that we are one system. Now, I am grateful for this team of extraordinary leaders who will lead our colleges into the future. Virginia's community colleges are better positioned than any other network to lead the Commonwealth to address these challenges head-on, close these gaps, and develop the pipeline that leads to the best workforce in the nation. Now, we will do this with speed, convergence, and adaptability. Speed. To be relevant, we must move at the speed of industry. We will adapt and launch our programs at a much faster pace. Convergence. We will deepen our partnerships and work together to launch and adapt our programs in collaboration with every sector of business and industry, with the Virginia Department of Workforce Development and Advancement, with the Virginia Economic Development Partnership, with the Virginia Chamber, our K-12 system, and our universities. We will work collaboratively with the entire ecosystem of Virginia. Our workforce programs can no longer operate in a vertical in our organizations. They must become a horizontal, cutting across all academic divisions. We will need greater convergence and increased collaboration across all disciplines at our colleges. Adaptability. Our colleges will continually adapt to the changing needs of learners and employers. We will ensure multiple on-ramps that are clear and student-friendly. The seamless, stackable integration of short-term credentials with degrees. Now, the transformation of Virginia's community colleges will be aligned to a handful of guiding principles that will disrupt the status quo. Blurring the lines between secondary and post-secondary, between academic and workforce development, and between our colleges and the workplace. Providing access to meaningful post-secondary credentials to all Virginians. Paying for performance. And shifting the goal line from completion to a good job in a high-demand sector. Our operational values support the governor's bold agenda for our colleges to make a transformational impact on Virginia. And we will do this by being a key partner in helping to fill jobs by ensuring that our programs are aligned with the needs of business and accessible to all Virginians who lack a meaningful post-secondary credential. And we will also ensure that all high school graduates graduate with either an associate degree or a meaningful post-secondary credential that has value among employers. And our effectiveness will be built through the work of our colleges, the deepening of our partnership, and forging new connection points that enable stronger collaboration. We will innovate post-secondary education in the Commonwealth, leading ahead of, instead of reacting to, a growing competitive environment. Now, the vision is supported by a three-pronged approach to fundamentally change how we work together as a system, and with others to drive the economic vitality of the Commonwealth in the coming decade. And we will focus around three priorities: increasing regional capacity, providing every high school student with a meaningful post-secondary credential, and funding what works. In my closing tomorrow, I will lay out details of how we will implement these goals and the investments we plan to prioritize. Today, I want to highlight some of the most important aspects for which we are preparing. So, how will we increase regional capacity? This transformation will be driven by increased collaboration and coordination among colleges to deliberately align with the 9 Go Virginia regions. In doing so, we will become a regionally driven organization that will effectively scale programming at the college level to better respond to regional job demands and invest in the talent, technology, and infrastructure necessary to support strong business growth. In the coming decade, the new majority of learners will command our attention. We will fundamentally alter who we recruit and how. Only 22% of the 90,000 high school graduates enroll in our community colleges each year. And with fewer high school graduates in coming years, we will likely see fewer on our campuses. Along with the decline of high school graduates, there are more than 3 million adults in Virginia who do not hold a meaningful post-secondary credential. This is 35 times the number of high school graduates. We need to reach these adults, and to do so, we will focus on regionalized outreach and recruitment to change the narrative of community colleges. We have already proven that educating and training adult and non-traditional students is one of our greatest strengths. This new recruitment strategy also requires us to shift our model of service delivery to be student-focused instead of institution-focused, and align instruction to the places, times, and formats that fit students' busy lives. We must remove as many barriers to entry as possible, including those we may have created. Our objective will be to enroll faster and dedicate resources to programs that innovate the path from training to career quicker and more affordably. We will also dedicate resources to expanding student-focused rapid pathways to better jobs like our Fast Forward program. Unlike our traditional models, Fast Forward is growing at 15 to 20% annually. In the same spirit of designing our programs around the needs of our learners, we will direct resources to scale opportunities for online learning through a statewide, coordinated strategy and to provide more flexible scheduling and location-based learning on our campuses. This is essential to reaching the Virginians we need to serve. Now, in addition, this flexibility is necessary as we transition to emphasizing comprehensive and deliberate connections between colleges and businesses to support not only completion, but ultimately job placement. We will continue to prioritize the important work we do by building on Transfer Virginia and ensuring seamless and clear transfer pathways for our learners. Both, I want to make that clear, both are essential to the economic prosperity of Virginia. Our second priority is aligned with Governor Youngkin's bold vision for every high school student in Virginia to graduate with both a diploma and a meaningful post-secondary credential. Now, while some high school students have achieved this outcome in recent years, access to post-secondary program for high school students is not comprehensive, and there are hurdles that must be addressed for this vision to be realized across every school division in the Commonwealth. We are partnering with the Secretary and the Department of Education to propose solutions to remove barriers to accessing these meaningful credentials. Our role is to clearly define the path that students will take to graduate with the credentials necessary for a seamless transfer or to enter the workforce immediately. Now imagine a Virginia in which the 90,000 annual graduates of the Commonwealth's high schools each possess the kind of post-secondary credential that immediately increases their earning potential that provides them with a community college experience and primes them for future post-secondary success. This is what we are working towards together, a prosperous future for Virginia and Virginians. My visits with all of you and my subsequent one-on-one meetings with dozens of leaders from across Virginia have clearly underscored our role in this. Our colleges are essential in this effort. And these conversations have deeply informed these priorities, including our final priority. We must invest in our community colleges by funding what works and implement, yes. And we will implement a performance-based funding model that supports rapid workforce expansion based on proven success. One of the best examples of this at play is Fast Forward, which is already a best-in-class model that demonstrates how we respond to high-demand, high-wage sectors and how we scale to meet that demand quickly. The Power Line Worker Program, a Fast Forward program at Southside, and one of many successful Fast Forward programs, is offering a proof of concept of the success that can be achieved with the right investments and a focused approach. I was privileged to see the 500 students graduate. In 12 weeks, these learners complete the program and earn multiple industry credentials, most with job offers in hand even before the training is complete. Similar programs at Mountain Empire and Wytheville are helping utilities and electric co-ops find the skilled workers they need, and these learners are gaining a foothold on a family-sustaining career. A $55 million investment since 2016 has produced $2.6 billion in wages, 93% program completion, and actually that number is a lot higher than 35,000, credentials earned to support high-demand industries in Virginia. We know that outcomes-based funding for degrees and college credentials greatly improves retention, completion, and job placement. Additional investments will rapidly drive targeted and significant improvements to what are already tremendous results. So these priorities, increasing regional capacity, enabling every high school student in Virginia for post-secondary success, and funding what works, are the foundation to advance our system of colleges into a world-class leader of education, training, and talent development. And I am elated to be part of this journey with all of you. Now, I want to close by sharing a little bit about how I lead. So back in the 1980s, the mid-1980s, when I was a young high school teacher in Pennsylvania, I actually had the opportunity to take my seniors to Pittsburgh to spend the day on the set watching the filming of the Mr. Rogers Neighborhood Show. And during that visit, my class and I, we had the privilege to have lunch with Fred Rogers, listening to his insights on teaching and learning. And I asked him that day if he had any advice for me on how to be a great teacher. And he told me something that has stuck with me all these years. He told me that love is at the heart of all learning. And I really do believe that. To achieve our ambitious vision, let us center our actions in love. Each of you embodies an unparalleled dedication to your work and a profound sense of belonging within our community of learners, ensuring that our institutions thrive as warm and accepting environments. I believe community colleges are the most transformative organizations in our nation, and my highest honor is leading you during this period of transformation. As your Chancellor, I will bring my whole heart to our work every day. Honesty, transparency, and collaboration are strong values for me and will form the bedrock of our efforts. I believe that decisions are best made in the light, with insights from diverse perspectives, and I want everyone in this room to know that your perspective matters. Your insights and local leadership are paramount in our pursuit of innovation, and I want us all to think outside the box. As the challenges I have mentioned grow more complex, they are not unsurmountable, but they do require adjusting our expectations and perspective. And let us engage in data-informed and evidence-based conversations at all levels, while bearing in mind that data reveals what is, not what could be. Let's also stay proactive, prioritizing the problems that demand solutions and use every opportunity to improve continuously. Big challenges require bold moves, and this is our time to do big things for Virginia's community colleges to shine, and we will do it together. Thank you.